This increases attraction instantly. Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about the things that can increase attraction instantly. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing that can create attraction instantly is emotional restraint. This is especially for those people that are trying to reattract an ex or try to get someone who was once interested in them more interested again if they've lost interest, or just simply trying to get someone more attracted to you. So the reason why emotional restraint is attractive and displaying emotional restraint is attractive is because it gives off an air of indifference. And of course, we are more attracted to people who do kind of have this air of mystery, this air of self-restraint, this air of indifference around them. So that is something that you have to start adopting yourself. A good example of this from my own life was when I got one of my first jobs ever. And there was this kind of like supervisor who I had a big crush on. And she was barely around. Like, she was hardly ever around. She was hardly ever there. And because she was hardly ever there, that made me more attracted to her, because she was there one day and then she was gone the next. I think because she was working at two different sites. So there was the site that I was working at, and then there was a couple of other buildings around where she probably worked at as well. So that, made her more interesting to me. And you could never really tell, how, when she spoke to you, you could never really tell what was going on her face. Like, she wasn't, even though I felt attracted to her and I felt like there was some kind of connection between us, there was no, she wasn't ever being flirtatious. She was always just really friendly and nice to me, but she wasn't overly friendly. She wasn't overly flirtatious. It was kind of like this underlying thing that was happening. And she had emotional restraint. And that's one of the reasons why I believe I was attracted to her. And obviously nothing ever came about from that, because I wasn't at that job for very long. I moved on to other things. But that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. Like, having that kind of emotional restraint where you're kind of not letting on how much you feel about someone, and being more in control of yourself, and being able to have that emotional restraint to not be able and to not give away basically how you are feeling inside is one of those things that is really, really attractive. If you are enjoying this video so far, then please leave a like on it, and please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you would like me to discuss something in a future video, then please leave it down in the comments, or if you have any tips and advice yourself. Thank you so much. So what is the opposite of emotional restraint? So we can kind of figure out what not to do, what to not display, the kind of behaviors we shouldn't be doing around those people that we are interested in, so we can make them more attracted to us. So this is the opposite of emotional restraint, and that is love pukes. So basically, love pukes are any time that you send a long message to a crush, basically explaining how you feel about them, perhaps even just telling someone too soon that you like them a lot, basically letting on how much you really, 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 really like someone too soon. And that's what I call love pukes. So that's the opposite of emotional restraint, because you can't help yourself. You have to tell them how you feel about them. You have to try and pin them down into a relationship. You have to confess your love for them. And this is something that I definitely did so much, especially when I was a teenager. Like, if I had a crush on a girl, I would send them a love letter, or I would write them a long message on Facebook, like telling them how much I love them and how much I want to be with them. And those things never, ever worked for me. They don't work. So you have to avoid doing these things like the plague, basically, and only, make these confessions, say lovey-dovey things to those people that you get into a relationship with, and you two are actually exclusive and you're not seeing anyone else, and you've probably met the parents and all that kind of stuff. That's when you can start saying these kinds of things. But when it's at the beginning, when there's only a subtle flirtation going on, or you've not even been on a date yet, or you've only been on a few dates, you need to stop yourself from doing these things. You need to stop yourself from doing these love pukes. You have to wait until you get into a committed relationship. But before then, when you're just in a courtship, or if you're trying to really attract someone, so this could be like an ex or someone that's rejected you and you want them to get more interested in you, in those times, you cannot do these love pukes. Only do it in people that you are in relationships with and who are also displaying the same. Like if they're reciprocating, if they're also, telling you how much they love you and how much they like you. When they do that, that's when you can reciprocate. But anytime before that or after that, if you've been in a breakup, it's too much. You can't be doing those kinds of things. You cannot be giving into these love pukes. You have to display emotional self-restraint. And basically, you need to kind of keep how you feel about them inside until they start reciprocating, until they start displaying that same kind of level of interest. But if they're not displaying the same level of interest, if they're not sending you messages saying how much they like you, how much they love you, then you shouldn't be doing the same. I highly recommend that you go and watch this video, especially if you're a heterosexual male or a lesbian watching this. Women who are into you will do this. So if they're not into you, if they're not displaying signs of attraction for you, or they've dumped you and rejected you, it's best to walk away from these people, because that's the best way that you can have emotional self-restraint from these people, right? Because if you're not around them, then it's going to be very unlikely that you are actually going to do a love puke or something like that. So you need to go into no contact with them if this is someone that you don't see on a daily basis, and to also walk away from that person. And if this is someone that you have to see every day, like this might be someone who you work with, you have to have that emotional self-restraint. You don't give them any of your attention, you don't look over at them, you don't talk with them. Obviously, if they come up and talk to you, always be friendly and polite and nice to them, but don't be mean to them or be harsh to them, because obviously if you're trying to reattract them, then you don't want them to start disliking you. You want them to like you. So obviously be friendly and happy and nice to them. But if you are around them, don't give them your attention. If they want your attention, they have to come to you. So recently I've been reading the 48 Laws of Power, and there's a law in there is using absence to increase respect and honor. And I'll read out to you the description of Law 16, which is: use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity. And that's how you increase attraction. You make yourself more scarce, more rare, quite like the boss or the supervisor that I had a crush on. She wasn't around all of the time, and that increased my attraction for her. Just something that I noticed when I was, and this is something that I've noticed a lot throughout my life. Like the more someone is not around, the more someone is scarce, the more someone doesn't give you their attention, the more you start to become more drawn to them. And this is a great way to increase attraction, to remove yourself from them, to become absent. We always value those things that we have to work for. We don't value things that are in abundance, because it falls into the law of familiarity. And basically the law of familiarity is basically when someone is around so much, you become so accustomed to them that you start taking them for granted. So obviously if you're trying to reattract someone or make someone attracted to you, then you want to be someone who is rare and a scarce resource, because if you are, that will create more value around you. People will be fighting for your attention because you're not around all the time. You're creating that absence. Now, again, if this is someone who you just only know online, or you don't know them in like a physical setting, then you can do this by going off social media for a few months. You can do this by not replying instantly to their messages, leaving it 24 hours or even 48 hours before you reply to them, not being around as much. And when you do get in a conversation with them, you cut it off quickly. Like, you don't have a long conversation with them. It might be something like a quick, hey, how are you? And you might be like, yeah, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? And then you can be like, well, I need to go now, I'll talk to you later, something like that. You cut it off quickly, and that's what will create that scarcity and that value around yourself. So try and cut things a little short. You can even do this when you're on dates. Try and end the date a lot sooner than what you think that this other person wants. So like after 45 minutes of a date, you might be like, oh, I need to go. I've had a really great time, but I need to go. I'll catch up with you some other time. Cut things a lot shorter than what the other person wants, and that will increase that attraction. That'll make you appear more valuable and more scarce. And that's what will increase attraction for you instantly. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.